Hello guys, I want to talk to you today about this thing Israel does where they will deliberately target certain Palestinians to maximize the pain and suffering of Palestinians, not just in Gaza and the West Bank, but also throughout the diaspora. I'm showing you this Guardian article at the moment just to kind of overall show you the actual intent of Israel. So this is from about just after October the 7th, 2023, and Israel said from the start, we're focused on maximum damage. Basically, from the start and always, Israel has tried to hurt the Palestinians, has tried to destroy anything the Palestinians love or own as viciously as possible, and that includes the targeting of Palestinians and includes the targeting of Palestinian land. So this is from October of 2023, and let's look at some examples of Israel specifically targeting certain Palestinians to maximize the pain and the suffering of the Palestinian people. So let's go with Hassan Abu Safia, because this is an article from today, as of the day of recording, the 18th of April. And you may have been hearing about him as of late, but this is a Palestinian doctor who was kidnapped by the Israeli occupation forces, and he has just been tortured inside an Israeli detention center, and they are allowing his legal team, they are allowing people to talk about this because they want to instill fear in not just the Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank, but also globally. They want to show the Palestinians that they are going to hurt this man for simply being a Palestinian. If we look here, according to Qasim, detainees from Gaza were beaten and assaulted in a monstrous way during the celebration of Eid al-Fitr earlier this month. During Eid, during a holy day, the Israeli occupation forces, the Israeli citizens, the Israeli soldiers, the Israeli prison guards beat and assaulted people they had kidnapped. That is what Israel does. It is a very specific tactic that repressive regimes do. When it is a day of joy, when it is meant to be a day of celebration, they will attack and hurt and beat people. It is Easter right now, and I'm sure in the United States, people in detention centers, people in the prison camps that they have built or they have extended, because they were built under Obama, I believe, and they've just been extended and built and improved upon, for lack of another word for that disgusting thing, they are going to be harmed more this weekend. I can tell you that. The United States will harm those people in those prison camps even more. I'm sure the people in El Salvador will be harmed and beaten more this Easter, especially because many of those people are probably devout Christians, devout Catholics. Much of South and Central America are. And this is exactly what Israel is doing to this man, to this doctor. And this is a doctor, a person who, obviously, I don't want to get into like the class thing, but doctors obviously globally are seen as very high-ranking individuals, people who with some station within society, whether you look at it from a class example or just kind of the service they provide to a society, especially one such as Palestine, such as Gaza, which is constantly under continuous attack and continuous threat from Israel. And this isn't just Hassan Abu Safia as well. There were multiple other doctors. There was one from Britain who was kidnapped, and his kidnapping was actually part of a arrest warrant people were seeking for Gideon Saar, the Israeli foreign minister. I made a video on that, I believe yesterday or the day before, as of day of recording. So this is just one example, because if you can take out the doctors and you can torture them and you can beat them, what message does that send to Palestinian diaspora doctors who might think, I want to go home and help my people, or even people within Gaza and the West Bank and become doctors who think, I have worked all my life to help my people, and what am I going to get? I'm going to get beaten, I'm going to get tortured in a detention center, in basically what is a concentration camp. And I've got another example as well, which is Fatima Hassouna was deliberately murdered by the Israeli occupation forces A day after it was announced she was nominated for an award. I believe it was at Cannes, but she wasn't nominated for the award, but a documentary about her was nominated for the award. So Hassouna was killed a day after French-Iranian director Sepida Farsi's documentary "Put Your Soul in Your Hand and Walk," in which she is heavily featured, was announced to premiere at the Cannes Film Festival in May. So not an award, but to be basically a documentary which focuses a lot around her, was announced to be winning an award, and Israel murdered her. Israel knows where these people are. Israel knows where they are. There's a reason her specific home was bombed in Gaza City. Israel murdered this young lady and her family. They murdered her because she was nominated for an award, or at least because she featured in a prestigious film. Can you imagine just the outcry if a young up-and-coming photojournalist, if someone who's the subject of a documentary in the West was murdered by their occupier? Can you imagine what would happen if the news stories, the BBC, Sky, CNN, Fox, maybe not Fox actually, would run if a Ukrainian photojournalist was part of a documentary, was getting praise, was getting attention, and Russia killed them the following day? Can you imagine the outcry we would see from that? We see an outcry when journalists are imprisoned in Russia, which rightfully so, journalists should not be imprisoned. But when Palestinian journalists are imprisoned, when they're killed, it means nothing to our leaders. It means nothing to our media, because they value Palestinian life less, because it's not white life. It is Palestinian life, and it is life that is being sacrificed, and I use sacrifice with heavy air quotes there, being sacrificed for the benefit of a Western colony, for the benefit of a US colony, a European colony in the Middle East. And this photojournalist was targeted because she was being put on a pedestal. And it wasn't necessarily her choice to be put on that pedestal. She was put on a pedestal. People were praising her, saying, wow, this Palestinian photojournalist taking these beautiful photos, being featured in a Cannes film. And Israel can't take it. Israel can't take a single Palestinian life being praised. Israel cannot take a single Palestinian experiencing happiness, and so they murdered her. And that is what Israel does. That is the reason there are so many sports players from Palestine who have been killed in this current genocide and in the past. There is a reason that when young boys in Palestine are playing football, they are shot in the legs and knees by Israeli soldiers, because the Israeli soldiers despise seeing the joy. They despise seeing happiness on the faces of Palestinians. And this is the result of it. It is truly repressive. It is truly disgusting. It is something that when we were young, we were taught only the worst of the worst would do. And guess what? The worst of the worst are the people in charge of our countries. It is the UK government who are complicit with Israel. It is the US government who are complicit with Israel. It is every single government across the world that is complicit with Israel are the ones taking part to do this, are the ones who are murdering these Palestinians. Every single person who sides with Israel are the ones with the blood on their hands.